Damn it, that was good. That's how good your thing was. It was that good. I hate it when people write that. Okay, moving on. One more person who needs no introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Harvey! All right. I purposefully left this untitled. You're either going to get it or not. Probably depending on how old you are.
That's what she said.
A warm Friday night, early fall in middle Indiana. The football game, having been won, warranted a celebration from all of the kids at Bumblefuck High School. And they knew the place to be in town. They knew the place to be in this town of less than 1,000 souls, the Tasty Freeze. A 1978 El Camino. Did somebody just get it? Raise your hand if you got it. Nice. A 1978 El Camino pulled into the parking lot, but drove past the handful of rusty pickup trucks and rad Firebirds that comprised the rest of the varsity squad, having already gathered together in celebratory camaraderie. The boy, a tall, handsome lad wearing jeans and his varsity jersey, looked like Garrison Keillor's wet dream of a mid-1950s American dream come true. The girl, also tall, redheaded, smart, and obviously not destined to live a life of housework and shitting out a tax deduction every 9 months, until experiencing the sweet relief of the Grim Reaper. He parked the El Camino far enough down the parking lot that his plans to do what he pleased wouldn't be interrupted. Their makeout session, complete with the boy slobbering all over her face, quickly escalated as he moved his hand down between her legs. Awkwardly fumbling toward an organ that he had no idea what to do with, much less how to please, he said, "Diane, you're like the raddest babe I've ever been with. You know, we ought to run off to the city." Diane gave her boyfriend the look women give men when they say something very stupid but well-intentioned. That guy knows what I'm talking about. She replied, "Baby, you ain't missing nothing. Also, we're fucking 16 and you're talking about not only moving in together, but doing so in an unfamiliar environment and an unstable job market. Are you developmentally challenged or something, Jack?" Get it?
Got it.
Yeah.
Jack had a blank expression on his face and no idea how to reply to having his immature Midwestern teenage boy thoughts challenged. You see, growing up in this vaguely defined heartland, Jack had been taught not only by societal example, but by religious teaching as well, that it was his desires and needs that came well before Diane's. Jack was on the cusp of quoting Timothy 2:12 to her, direct from the mouth of St. Paul, "I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She must be silent." That's in the Bible, y'all. When there was a knock at the passenger side window, Diane rolled down her window to see a petite woman wearing a red dress, hair that looked like she'd just been gangbanged by the 1976 Philadelphia Flyers, and more jewelry than Mr. T. In a Brooklyn accent thicker than Andre the Giant's cock, she said, "Hey honey, I'm Cindy. There's a big party going on over here. Don't you just want to have fun? Why don't you ditch this retarded troglodyte and shebop your way on over?" And she skipped away, jerking her arms around like an epileptic in a tilt-a-whirl. Jack looked incredulous. Did that prototype for the Manic Pixie Dream Girl just call me retarded? And why didn't she look at me when she was talking to us? You know, I think I'm just going to go behind the shady tree and reflect on my thoughts for the moment. As he walked away, he scratched his head and did his best James Dean. Diane walked over to the party and immediately ran into that one dude that's at every party who's so desperate to make new friends that he just goes up to anybody randomly and starts talking. The only remarkable thing about the man was that it was 10 p.m. and he was wearing sunglasses. Diane took a sip from her Tasty Freeze blue raspberry slushie and offhandedly said, "So, photophobic?" And immediately began looking around for better people to talk to. The man replied, "Oh, no, I wear them so I can watch you breathe, then weave your storylines." That doesn't make any sense. she said as she spotted 3 wild-looking guys standing over by the keg and walked away without so much as a look to the sunglasses at night guy. She only kinda heard him say, "Don't switch the blade on the guy in shades." Oh no. She walked away but couldn't care less. One-hit wonder. She grumbled as she sidled up to the 3 men. Her sheltered Midwestern upbringing left her confused at their back-and-forth, fast-paced poetry over bass-heavy beats and hard rock riffs. But emboldened by her newfound freedom, Tim got it. She asked the trio, "Hey guys, what's that music called?" The guy in the dumb leather fisherman's hat and big Volkswagen medallion said, "Yo, baby, we used to call it appropriating black culture, but we recently changed the name to hip-hop." Diane seemed unimpressed. "That's kind of a dumb name for such cool-sounding music. Do everyone here a favor, just wrap it up, okay, fellas?" The guy in black jeans, black t-shirt, and black leather jacket, you know, the one who looks like he smells like a Holiday Inn mattress in Daytona Beach after spring break. "Did you say rap? Snap, yo, that's a much doper name for our music. Fellas, let's go back to Brooklyn to record our new album. And you know what, let's just drive straight through the night until we arrive home." "Huzzah!" the other 2 shouted gleefully, and they all linked arms and skipped off into the horizon. You gotta get used to that. Everybody just kind of shows up and then quickly leaves. Diane cast an eye back to the shady tree where Jack sat, still doing his best James Dean, and sucking on a chili dog. She felt a twinge of regret at leaving her simpleton boyfriend alone. I mean, dude didn't even know how to eat a fucking hot dog properly. But that feeling quickly went away as she spied not 1, but 2 actual black people in this field party in Bumblefuck, Indiana. "Hey guys, I'm totally comfortable being in your presence," Diane overcompensated. One of the men looked like a naval commander in Elton John's fever dream. His military jacket, complete with epaulets, was 100% sparkly, and he wore a similarly sparkly glove on one hand. He appeared to be rolling some sort of homemade cigarette with weird green tobacco in it. The other man, with lighter skin and an afro that looked oilier than the Alaskan coastline on March 24th, 1989, lit up
the future.
I got wibbly wobbly timey wimey. Lit up the joint, took a puff, and said, "Oh man, I feel like I'm dancing on the ceiling. Wait, I just got a great song idea." Diane was no prude, but she still fell prey to the constant barrage of anti-drug messages of the time. You know the ones I'm talking about. The ones wherein Nancy Reagan stopped running the shadow government long enough to convince us that shooting black tar heroin into your anus is exactly as dangerous as taking a hit or 2 off of a joint. Diane naively pointed... Diane naively pointed out, "Gentlemen who I in no way find threatening, despite what my parents taught me, I'm pretty sure marijuana is illegal." Skinny black Captain Bligh looked at her and said, "Don't worry, PYT. This strain is called Smooth Criminal. It's bad." Don't laugh at that.
I didn't.
And as he took a hit, he slid backwards on his feet as if to defy all the laws of physics. "Whatever, weirdo, you seem like the kind of dude that would write a love song to a rat." Turning her attention to the other not scary black guy, she saw that his attention was taken up with molding a weird clay bust of his own head. As she walked away, the light-skinned man yelled after her, "But I thought it was me you're looking for." Deciding that she wasn't quite ready to tackle the quagmire of race relations in 1980s rural America, she quietly walked through the party trying to find not only a real human connection, but for herself. Diane existed in a post-second wave feminism America, and thus lived in an America where Ronald Reagan and misogynistic sex comedies ruled popular culture. I'm looking at you, Porkies. She wandered the gauntlet of shallow 80s media personified, her head nearly throbbing with barely concealed messages that compelled her to don't think, consume, and maybe you should dry hump the hood of that Jaguar over there while these effeminate dudes play the catchiest formula-based rock imaginable. Looking around for an overrated luxury sports sedan to prance around on like a ninny, her search was interrupted by what appeared to be an aging British man speaking in tongues. He looked at her with unfocused eyes and a palsy way of carrying himself. Patting the elderly man's shoulder, Diane said, "Oh, it's okay. I have relatives who are also Pentecostal." Just keep your weird-ass religion to yourself, no matter how hard that might be. The shambling wreck of a formerly great singer said, his words only clear to himself. With sympathy in her eyes, she squeezed his shoulder. "Don't worry, sir. This country treats its mentally ill with compassion and respect. Our Republican Congress is always hard at work ensuring that you get the affordable care you need. You're going to be just fine." It was getting late, and Diane was growing weary of this never-ending cavalcade of soon-to-be irrelevant personalities. She was debating whether to stay in this absurd field party filled with celebrities that couldn't find Indiana on a map, much less be apt to take part in an outdoor kegger there, or just walk home. A voice rang out of the night air. "Hey, darling, what's going on in that pretty little head of yours?" She asked the empty night air. "Hello?" "Down here," came a raspy voice. She looked down and at chest level, where stood a man akin to a hydrocephalic dwarf, with a cigarette in one hand and an old blues guitar in the other. "Hey, darling," he winked at her. "You? No," Diane grunted in disgust. "But I didn't ask anything of you," the weird-looking white trash elf man pleaded. "I was just following you the whole night and watching your every move. What's so wrong with that?" "It's literally everything," Diane deadpanned. "Also, did you fucking say pretty little head to me just now? You know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna walk back to my little pink house and start filling out college applications and just bide my time until I can get the fuck out of here." The homunculus of a blues rock singer decided to do what dudes have been doing since the dawn of man. He rewrote history and wrote a little ditty about Jack and Diane. As Diane confidently walked down the rural highway, sure of herself and her new resolve to leave mediocrity behind her, she looked up at the clear night sky and in a moment of whimsy made a wish upon a star. "Please, random, fictional, authority figure deity, make the 90s much, much better than now." Postscript. Having been completely forgotten about by all involved in this story, including myself, Diane is a more interesting character anyway in the song, Jack died of hunger underneath the shady tree. For there was no one left to give him chili dogs. Or if you find that distasteful, how about this alternate? Jack went on to barely graduate high school, got a job at the local factory, married someone even dumber than himself, and thoughtlessly contributed a brood of children to an already hideously overpopulated planet. Jack, being an analogy for the early peaking high school was the best 4 years of his life, a bland motherfucker that Uncle Sam can't survive without. Which ending do you prefer? Diane went on to leave Bumblefuck, Indiana as soon as humanely possible and graduated from Sarah Lawrence College with a major in English and a minor in technical writing. She would sustain herself writing sexual harassment brochures and solder bookshelf instructions. But would find fulfillment in self-publishing ebooks about empowerment and feminism on Amazon. She currently enjoys a Twitter following of over 100,000. John Cougar Mellencamp would find massive success with his ditty about Jack and Diane, along with a few other hits. But by the time the 90s Diane dreamed about came along, Mr. Mellencamp succumbed to the ravages of a growing intellectual base of music listeners who were no longer interested in sappy, grammatically incorrect songs about a bullshit America that never existed. He is presumably living off of residuals on a big plot of land somewhere in the T.S. Eliot nightmare wasteland of central Indiana.